Democracy is on the ballot still.
Democracy is on the ballot.
Democracy is on the ballot.
Democracy's on the ballot.
Democracy's on the ballot.
We obviously don't know very much at this point about a potential motive here, and we may never know.
Welcome to this week's Wacky Moments of Leftist Extremism. Now, this week, in the immediate aftermath of the second attempted assassination of Donald Trump in 9 weeks, the media went on to blame Trump for getting shot at. As you see, it's all his fault.
We saw in the immediate aftermath of the Butler, Pennsylvania attack, Donald Trump went to the Republican National Convention. And I think at least his tenor was more solemn, a little bit more retrospective. That quickly changed. And you could say that more so than ever, the rhetoric, the divisiveness of our politics today is intense.
The leftist media. Anything bad, you have to blame Trump. A look at the first 72 hours of coverage on the ABC, CBS, and NBC evening newscasts finds that while the attempted assassination dominated campaign coverage, the network's anti-Trump spin was 95% negative because the media is so impartial.
There is
we don't try to remain impartial.
We do.
We are impartial.
We are 100%,
yeah.
yo.
We are impartial, the media claims. Now, who said that off camera? Oh, it's CBS's Gayle King, who is a documented donor to Kamala Harris.
Dude, we are impartial.
We are 100%, yo.
Oh yeah, the media is so careful, fair, and precise in their language.
We, of course, want to be careful and precise in our language. We were saying this was the person that was detained, law enforcement not yet naming him as the suspect. We obviously don't know very much at this point about a potential motive here, and we may never know.
We may never know? Why is a journalist encouraging everyone to think it may be impossible to locate a motive? I mean, perhaps all they have to do is look at the suspected assassin's social media history.
Democracy is on the ballot still.
Democracy is on the ballot.
Democracy is on the ballot.
Democracy's on the ballot.
Democracy's on the ballot.
Democracy is literally on the ballot.
Democracy is on the ballot for this election.
Vice President Harris has made very clear that democracy is on the ballot here.
Democracy, of course, is, as the president likes to say, on the ballot.
Oh, it couldn't be the repeated false claims by the media and the Democratic Party that inspires crazy people to get a little violent. Like maybe that Democratic Act Blue donor who was arrested and charged after threatening certain Supreme Court justices along with members of their family.
Must have been a relief for insurrectionist accomplice Ginny Thomas's husband, Justice Clarence Thomas.
When these people like Alito and Thomas support the insurrection, right? What are they really saying?
Ginny Thomas played a role in an insurrection.
Ginny Thomas's efforts in the January 6th insurrection.
Oh, I'm sure that has no influence at all. I mean, repeating certain words to incite violence is certainly something the left would never do. But they are pretty sure Donald Trump does it.
So stochastic terrorism is just a technique that Trump has perfected in many ways, and we talked about it over the years. And it's a way of using language that is clearly meant to incite some percentage of the people listening for a violent purpose or for a noxious purpose, as the case may be.
Noxious seems to be a pretty good word to describe the left, but don't even question them on the language they use.
How many more assassination attempts on Donald Trump until the president and the vice president and you pick a different word to describe Trump other than threat?
Peter, if anything from this administration, I actually completely disagree with the premise of your question, the question that you're asking. It is also incredibly dangerous.
It's dangerous to question the left. Blame can only be put on Donald Trump.
You know, let's stop this both sides stuff. It's a bunch, because it's not correct. Right. It is not both sides. It is one clear side. And you can point to many, many reports. You can point to all kinds of stuff that's been reported. You guys have to pull it back. This is not us or them. This is you got to stop doing what you're doing, JD, and what you're doing, Mr. T, because you are not helping the situation.
Not like the way Whoopi helps the situation. I mean, remember, this is the woman who was once mad that Trump's grandchildren were humanizing him.
And I know his grandchild was up on the thing, and they're trying to humanize him and change your idea about who this guy is. Don't fall for that.
Yeah, the media think it's best if he's not considered human. That way they can make room for that political violence that they so claim to abhor.
But what America do these folks live in
that they think there's no space for political violence.
The media has a bit more space for violence when the left is instigating and perpetrating it. I mean, they always make it clear how much they love the left.
Yeah, it really, it's always been disconcerting to my conservative friends how much I loved it from the start.
Oh, the media loves Hillary. So she made the rounds this week promoting a new book and claiming those right-wing deplorables who spread information that she deems to be misinformation, well, they should be criminally charged.
I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrence.
We're not advocating for criminal charges for those that don't agree with their politics. The leftist media kept activism rolling in other ways. Kamala Harris was gently massaged by the National Association of Black Journalists this week, where they were asking softball questions about her joy. And they admit, they did that in order to lift her up.
Jaron, why did you ask that question? It was important for me to ask that question because, one, I noticed that in doing my research for this interview, the vice president had been using the joyful warrior term even years before she was a vice president. She did an interview with Ellen DeGeneres, and she described herself as a joyful warrior. And this is obviously a theme of the Harris-Walz campaign that I think is resonating with voters. But also because I noticed that on the Republican side, they've been using joy, her laughing, and using that as a tool to suggest that she's not a serious candidate, particularly as a black woman, and the implications that might give to voters. And it was important for me to lift that up.
Nothing like being asked questions in order to lift Kamala up. I mean, that's the purpose of journalism these days. In fact, this is great. MSNBC, well, they're mad with young people who won't support Harris after Taylor Swift's endorsement, all because they care about stupid things like the economy.
Also, I spent the week talking to young Republicans who, after the Taylor Swift endorsement, I know we'll talk about that later, but they were telling me, she cares about social issues, she cares about LGBTQ people, but us common folk, we can't, afford food, we can't afford housing. It's a terrible economy. And these are young people who I don't know if they've had to deal with these issues, the full brunt of those issues, but they see him as a home-based guy, and they see her as wanting to work on all these social issues.
I've been doing this for a while, and that has to be among the dumbest things I have ever seen. I'm Eric Shiner asking you not to be scolded by the leftist media for caring about real issues. Fight them instead. Head over to the MRC homepage, click on that donate button, visit MRC-TV for the latest in information, entertainment, and videos, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe to these videos on the platforms that let you see us. We'll be back real soon with another look at leftist media insanity.
They were telling me, she cares about social issues, she cares about LGBTQ people, but us common folk, we can't, afford food, we can't afford housing.